We start this hour in the United States for our top story. And US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have met at the White House for high-stakes talks focused on Iran and regional security. The nearly three-hour meeting centered on ongoing nuclear negotiations between Washington and Tehran. Trump said he insisted that talks with Iran must continue to see if a deal can be reached. He described diplomacy as his preference, but warned that if negotiations fail, the United States may take further action. Netanyahu stressed that Israel's security remains his top priority. He pushed for any agreement to go beyond uranium enrichment and also curb Iran's ballistic missile program and support for proxy groups such as Hamas and Hezbollah. Both leaders agreed to remain in close coordination as talks with Iran move forward. The meeting comes as the US increases its military presence in the Middle East. Trump has also warned Tehran of possible strikes if no agreement is reached. Joining us to discuss this ongoing story is Matthew Vadum, an American journalist and author. He joins us live from Washington. Matthew, first of all, thank you very much for joining us.
Sure.
Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have now met in the White House, or met 6 times. That's more than any other world leader. The Israelis' wishes on this matter are no secret. They want to see the Iranian regime toppled. However, Donald Trump is going the diplomatic route. He is saying that he would rather negotiate than use military action. Did Benjamin Netanyahu get what he wanted here, do you think, going into this next round of negotiations in Muscat, Oman, coming up between the United States and Iran?
Well, what did he want? He wants regime change in Iran, and for the time being, he's not getting it. So I would say that Prime Minister Netanyahu did not get what he wanted. He wants the United States to take action to topple the dictatorship of the Islamic Republic of Iran for reasons known only to President Trump. Trump is holding back, and he still wants to have talks on Iran's nuclear weapons program, on its plans to enrich the uranium needed to create nuclear bombs. And I'm not sure why he's holding out. Maybe the United States Navy and armed forces are not ready to attack yet, so he's stalling. But he can't honestly believe that the Iranians are just going to give up their nuclear weapons program that President Trump and Israel have worked so hard to destroy. So maybe President Trump is just trying to stalling to make some kind of a grand gesture to be a peacemaker. But to me, it doesn't. It strikes me as incongruous. He's got an armada in the waters near Iran, and they are apparently ready to strike, and yet they're not striking. So maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that the U.S. government is not telling us, and that's why President Trump is holding back for the time being. To me, it's inexplicable.
Matthew, do you think that these talks risk undermining any progress that will be made during these talks between the United States and Iran? Of course, these are two countries that haven't had serious diplomatic ties since 1980, so it's a big deal that these guys are negotiating. Do you think the Israelis stand a chance of getting in the way of that?
In terms of negotiating a deal?
Yes.
Yeah, probably, because Israel doesn't want, as I understand it, Israel doesn't want a deal made. Israel wants the regime in Tehran to be toppled, but Israel has held back to an extent because they are apparently afraid of all the missiles aimed at them by Iran, and they weren't, they weren't. They needed some time to prepare. Whether they're prepared now to withstand a missile attack from Iran is not clear to me. But that's the reason why they were holding back for a while. But with the American armed forces in place, I don't see why the United States is not taking action. Maybe Donald Trump really thinks that he can pull a rabbit out of a hat and come out with some miraculous deal that gets rid of Iran's nuclear program, but nuclear weapons program. But I just don't see why it's going to happen, because it is integral. It is an existential thing for the dictators in Tehran. They feel they must have nuclear weapons in order to defend their country, and they want to continue being the world's leading state sponsor of Islamic terrorism. So a lot of things here don't really make sense to me, I must admit.
But what about balancing that relationship between Donald Trump's, of course, close relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu and the State of Israel, with that newly found, one could say, relationship with those Gulf countries, those relationships that are said to have prevented him from striking Iran in the height of those protests when the Iranian regime seemed the most weak during them, when we all thought military action was coming and then it never came.
Right. Well, yes, you're right. That could be a factor. It could be that Trump's Arab allies in the region don't want the government of Iran to be overthrown, and so they are applying pressure to the United States, and that could very well be a reason why Trump is holding back out of respect for those allies. Though, in terms of the strategy of the thing, it really doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay. Matthew Vedum, do stay with us as we turn over to our next story. We have some breaking news coming out of the Indo-Pacific coming up next, and North Korea appears unhappy with